Coming up next on the CHGO Cubs Podcast presented by Toyota, two big-ticket free agents head to the American League East. Now, will Tucker and or Schwarber follow, or do the Cubs really have some sort of tiny outside shot at that? And is regression coming in 2026? Say it ain't so. A December to remember? How about it? CHGO Cubs next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast presented by our friends at Toyota. Luke Stuckmeyer, Joey Christopoulos, ringing in December with you, thanks to our friends from Toyota. The baseball winter meetings are a week away. So far, the Cubs have been very, very quiet. Thanksgiving is past. The snowstorm round one has passed. But guess what, guys? Time is running out on you because Cyber Monday is almost over and our deals are still going. That's right. Our Black Friday sale turns into Cyber Monday. You can save up to 90% on our website on our dope merch. It's all out there. Santa Claus has even been selling it on Twitter. If you haven't seen that yet, Santa's out there. The real Santa. I know him. He was out there selling our merch and rhyming. And also, it's a great time to be a Diehard. It's the end of our Cyber Monday sale, but it's the beginning of our Diehard deal. That's $26 a year right now. You're looking for some holiday gifts, right? December 1st, you're like, oh, crap. Holiday season almost here now that Thanksgiving's over. I got to get gifts, Joey. Where else are you going to go? Where else are you going to go? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was wonderful, Luke. Thanks for asking. Good to be with you here. As you can see here in Studio West, we're taping me from basically the chest down for a good reason.
Yeah.
I had myself a real nice time. Had ribeye, by the way. That was absolutely delicious. And some of the best apple pie that I've had in quite some time. How was yours?
I'm trying to count. I've had 2 turkey sandwiches. I had 3 plates on Thursday. I had
What?
2 plates on Friday, so that's 5. Then Saturday, 2 more. That's 7. Then 2 more yesterday. I'm up to 9 plates and 2 sandwiches. So I'm right there. And that's why I'm from barely the neck up. Barely the neck up in this shot. And then I worked it all off with the snowstorm, right?
Yes.
I had to shovel. Mostly gone, probably. I probably mostly burned the calories.
Yeah, I haven't dug myself out in a while, and this snow was a little bit heavier than normal, Luke. Sometimes you got like that light snow that you can literally kind of kick out of your tires, and then you can kind of move along and get along. This one was more of that mashed potato style that was a little bit heavier. We have more on the way. So when there's snow on the ground, Luke, let's talk about 2026 projections, baby. Winter meetings around the corner, right?
Yeah, a diet's coming in 2026, maybe some Cubs moves. Hopefully, we're going to talk about one place, at least the one robot saying, hey, guys, this isn't going to be good in 2026. This is going to be bad news. We're going to talk about the guys the Cubs didn't sign, and we're going to talk about the guys the Cubs probably won't sign that could be coming in the next maybe 10 days or so. We'll see how it all unfolds. Speaking of binging, I did my binging on the holiday, after the holiday, and before the holiday because the Stranger Things dropped 4 episodes, and I had to watch it before I saw my sister on Thanksgiving because she's a noted spoiler. She's one of those people that spoils stuff without knowing that she's spoiling it. She'll be like, oh, wasn't that awesome when so-and-so, died on Homeland? And you're like, what? How could you? The show is 20 minutes old. 20 minutes old. Are you that desperate to tell me what happened? So as I've mentioned, my cousin, Jake Connolly, there he is at the family picnic this summer. He made his big debut, his first TV show ever, Stranger Things. And he was in episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3 and 4, tons of Jake.
Not just
a.k.a. Derek Turnbow. And he stole the show. He's America's sweetheart now. He's got the family
delightful
gene.
Derek.
I was once Arlington Heights' sweetheart, just a couple blocks. It was only a couple blocks. But Jake is now taking over America and beyond. There's kids across the globe wanting to be Derek Turnbow for Halloween already next year.
Yeah, so the question that is on everyone's mind is, are you cool with it was lovable Luke being replaced by delightful Derek? Is this like a passing of the torch?
Yeah.
Or is this like an Aaron Rodgers thing where you're holding on a little too tight?
No.
You should have left a couple years ago.
First of all, I'm old. And second of all, that was the picnic photo was a once somewhat notable or recognizable regional cable TV personality. And he was soon to go from the kid in the northwest suburbs to worldwide famous. And there he is, dipshit Derek, or as we call him, right? What do we call him?
Call him Delightful Derek.
Joyce calls him Delightful Derek.
Yes, and that's what's important. I think that's where the name is going to land.
Yes.
By the completion of not just that season, but also the series to itself.
Well,
roping back around just really quick. This spoiling ant. This got my temperature up a little bit.
No, my sister.
Oh, your sister? You have a spoiling sister?
My older sister, and she's like the same exact age as Jake's mom. So those two cousins are like right there.
So I am as anti-spoiler as you can imagine. I want to know as little as possible walking into anything. Mm-hmm. I mean, even like, because I grew up like sometimes you'll just see a movie poster. Like I saw a movie poster for the Blair Witch Project, and I was like, I'm gonna go see that. Don't know what it's about, but I'm in. I want to go in as blank as possible. And Luke, like you working in the business for 30 years, even if you weren't working a game, I had a thing called the cone of silence. Where if it's a sporting event and I had to do something else or I had to work a different job at the time and there was a sporting event that I wanted to watch, I don't want to know anything about that game. I don't want to know the score. I don't know, even if someone hits a home run in the second inning, I don't want to know. I want to go in as clean as possible. Are you as hardcore as I am about that, or do you respect the game of the cone of silence?
Yeah, I don't want to give anything away. But when Derek Turnbow marries 11 at the end of Stranger Things, don't be surprised. Sorry, is that too soon? Was I not supposed to say that? And they have a special child that has special powers. Was I not supposed to say that? Oh no, never mind. That's Star Wars. I was thinking Star Wars. My bad. My bad. I got them all mixed up.
All right, we're going to be on our best behavior. Best behavior moving forward. He's great in the show. Your cousin's great in the show.
Is he awesome or what? He was awesome.
Look, the talent doesn't far fall from the tree.
Right.
Look at him smiling right there. He's great. The visualization scene is fantastic. He absolutely crushes that scene. He's a very, very welcome addition to the show. Very talented, very charismatic, very funny, very Stuckmeyer. I don't know what his the last name's different, but you know what I mean.
It's of the Andrews lineage is where we come in. It's the Andrews. It's my grandmother, my maternal grandmother's side. Now, so again, when we get him on, we don't say friend of the show. We say family on the show.
Family. Part of the show now. Come on in. You're part of the family now.
Anyways, shout out to Jake for an unbelievable job. He was awesome. And I hope we're going to see a lot more of him soon.
Couldn't help but sign Dylan Cease, though. Jake could have been more helpful on that side of things.
Yeah,
but
instead the Demogorgons or whatever they're called, they ate up our dreams and hopes and wishes and spit them out like a salivating flower does.
We also call that the MLB Labor Committee.
It was right after our show, right? And Cease goes ahead and signs with the Blue Jays. And I know we'll get to Helsley too, but I just think it's interesting that two huge names, both that were connected to the Cubs and hopeful for Cubs fans, some I think, right? at least one of the two was hopeful to the Cubs. Yes. And they both went to the AL East. And now you got to sit there and think, it feels bad for us as Cubs fans potentially, right? Imagine being the Yankees or the Red Sox. And now you look and say, your move, big boys, because we're the defending champs in the division. And the Orioles, the other team, were the huge disappointment, but it was mostly because of injuries, and they've all made big moves. And so all of a sudden that AL East you're looking at and saying, wow, that's going to be a brawl next year.
Yeah, and when you look at the power dynamics of the AL in general, also for the Mariners and the Detroit Tigers, two teams that I think aren't known as world beaters when it comes to spending money, had an excellent above expectation seasons, I think, for both of those. They want to take the next step too as well. And the Toronto Blue Jays are saying, no. I don't think we're going anywhere. Yeah, Dylan Cease, 7-year deal, $210 million. There's back and forth on what the deferrals look like, where some people say that the actuality of the deal is closer to $185 million. What's up to Vince in the chat? What's up, Becky in the chat? Hey, guys. I'm going to tackle this two ways. I just want to start right now, Luke, with the fact that it's the Toronto Blue Jays. Mm-hmm. A team that everybody knows went to the World Series, took the Dodgers to 7, lost the World Series, but just got this close. And when you are this close, the Toronto Blue Jays are doing the right thing by trying to push their chips in that we talk about all the time on the show and bring in a guy like Dylan Cease. I just want to get your reaction to the Chicago Cubs didn't go to the World Series, didn't take the Dodgers to any Game 7, but clearly won around 192 games. You can make a comparison that they're at least in the ballpark or the vicinity of the spot or the window or the timing of contending that the Toronto Blue Jays are in. But clearly the Blue Jays seem to be going about their offseason a little bit differently than the Chicago Cubs. What is your biggest takeaway with the Dylan Cease deal to Toronto?
Cease to me was the perfect fit, and that's why it's super disappointing. First of all, take the money part out of it. He seemed like the perfect fit because what they need is somebody that's going to be dependable, right? Because they have so much uncertainty in their rotation, whether it's guys coming off injury or guys coming off career years or guys coming off disappointment at the end of the season. Their rotation's full of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And he's not that guy. He will throw a lot of innings and he will throw hard. So he was also the perfect mix of the type of guy that they're looking for in the rotation. He throws gas. And I don't think Dylan Cease has reached his potential. So unlike some other free agents on the market, you can look at some of the pitchers and say, remember Theo and Jed, they were always like, I don't want to pay for past production. I still think Dylan Cease has more in there that we haven't seen his best. And so they're paying for that. Now, if it was deferred money, that's the other point that's super disappointing, right? Because according to Tom Ricketts, that takes the Cubs completely out of it before the conversation even would have started. So even if, Bruce Levine kind of hinted a bunch of times like Cubs, Cease, wouldn't be surprised that conversation. Well, yeah, but if he said deferred money, well, then that conversation would have ended immediately, according to what we've been told. And once it was 30 AAV, it was definitely over.
Right.
So it's
the other part
disappointing.
about it. Yeah. When you talk about the deferrals, what's the lyric? What's the Meatloaf lyric? I will do anything for Cub, but I won't do that, Luke. That seems to be Tom's philosophy there when it comes to the deferrals. And the other part about it is I honestly, even during the World Series, it has slipped my mind that just a year ago, 12 months prior to that. Now, granted, they've gone out, they've signed guys like Kevin Gausman, they brought in Max Scherzer, they gave Vladimir Guerrero the contract that he deserves. The part that I forgot about is only 12 months ago, the Blue Jays gave Anthony Santander $92 million to hit 175 and only 5 home runs. And they were not deterred, with the success that they had this season, but also this offseason of going out and continuously putting in what some would call calculated risk, what we would call is probably more cost certainty on a player of Dylan Cease's caliber. So There's another part about it that I want to ask you about. We got to hit a break here, but on the other side of the break, I do want to ask you, and in the chat too as well, was the 7 years also a deterrent? Would you give a pitcher 7 years, whether it is a Dylan Cease or even a Garrett Cole? Tarek Skubal, we're going to have that conversation too as well. Would you give a pitcher 6 or 7 years, or if you're the Cubs, would you try and up that AAV to bring in a guy there? Let's talk about it. Let's find out on the other side of the break. We're going to hear from our wonderful sponsors right here on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota.
Toyotathon is on. Get your Toyota while the getting's good. Score value on the versatile RAV4, America's #1 selling vehicle. How about that? Ride with the Tacoma, our rugged weekend warrior, or hit the road with Camrys available all-wheel drive in this snow. Red hot savings are ready for you at Toyotathon. Visit your Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places. What a time it is to be a CHGO Diehard. Special deal going on right now. Can't get it cheaper than $26 for a year. That's like 2 of my iced teas. Become a CHGO Diehard. Upgrade your fandom today. Get access to our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on future merch and events, plus access to the CHGO Discord Lounge, where you can show off your CHGO Diehard card, and everybody will be just as impressed. Go to allchgo.com for the latest information on how you can join all the sickos, or as we call them, diehards, already in our family.
And Luke, I just got back from Pittsburgh. You know what I did before I got here? I dug my car out from a pile of snow that was parked everywhere. It's an absolute avalanche. And you know what I needed to get the job done? My Brunt boots, because Brunt footwear isn't just work boots. They're built for the toughest job sites and for digging yourself out of the snow, because they're completely waterproof. So it doesn't matter whether it's rain, snow, or standing water. My feet stay dry the whole time. And with the Marin 6-inch soft shoe, it is built for workers across a variety of trades. And it isn't just about work boots. It's got a full range of high-performance gear built for tough jobs. Heavy-duty work pants like weather-resistant jackets, Brunt designs. They're durable, they're reliable, they're workwear, and they're going to keep you protected. Choosing your boots can be a total mess. You don't have to sacrifice comfort or durability. Pick Brunt footwear. So here's what you got to do. The temps are dropping as we speak. Holidays are coming up, so make sure you head on over and treat yourself to some Brunt workwear. And our listeners right now get $10 off their entire order when they use code CHGO. That's bruntworkwear.com, and use the code CHGO for $10 off. Coming back here on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. Luke Stuckmeyer, Joey Christopoulos, Sarah running the ones and twos.
Hey.
I want to throw this to you, Luke, about Dylan Cease. We were talking about what was it that maybe had the Cubs falling short or maybe getting a little scared? Was it the $210 million? Was it deferrals? Was it the 7 years? Another great one also is Johnny Water Ice. Hope I'm getting it right, or it's Waterichi, one of the two. Says Boras is the anti-Cub. If you had to put your finger on it, Luke, was it the amount of years? Was it the deferrals? Was it Scott Boras? The cocktail of the three? What do you think it was that maybe had the Cubs come up short, or maybe not even get in the mix for Dylan Cease?
The answer is yes. What's behind door 1, door 2, door 3? Which one had the Cubs say, we're good first?
All of
Whichever
them.
One they mentioned first. That's what it was. If Boras said, we want 7 years, the Cubs turned off the phone. If Boras said, we want 210, the Cubs closed the door. And if they said deferred money, they just turned their back. So the answer is yes. It doesn't matter which one it was, because all three would have had the Cubs turning their back.
Man.
Even though I think they like him. They still love him, but
yeah,
it is what it is. What are we going to do about it?
Just on the years, what do you think their philosophical threshold is? 5?
Probably.
Right?
Probably. And then as we look ahead to other players, like what is that just for a pitcher? Is it for anybody? Like, would they give Schwarber more than that? Is Schwarber too old to give that? I don't know, but no, whether it was deferrals, 210, the AAV, or the overall money, I'm disappointed because it shouldn't be a thing for the Chicago Cubs. When they fill the stadium, it shouldn't be a thing for the Cubs. If indeed he was at the top of their list, then I'm disappointed. Now, if they looked at Cease and said, well, we think other guys are more deserving of that type of contract, that's a different story. But if he was at the top of their list and they just got outbid or were less flexible than other teams, especially the Blue Jays, then I'm disappointed because, yeah, the Blue Jays were this close to beating the Dodgers in the World Series. But you know what? The Cubs were this close to moving on to the NLCS. And so I want to see them build on that. I don't want to go the other way.
Well, and the part about it that I'm going to speak strictly as a Cubs fan on this one, that the part that's so frustrating continuously about this is the idea that at every single position, and we're talking about a starting pitcher right now, and starting pitching is at a premium. And you would think if there was one thing that you would want to spend top dollar on to build the core and foundation of your team, you would think it would be starting pitching. But they seem to really enjoy when we talk about, let's just talk about his teammate, Michael King, still out there, hasn't signed yet, attached loosely to the Chicago Cubs, that they seem to keep saying to themselves, we think we can get 80% of the production of a Dylan Cease at half the price. And in theory, that can work in a lot of different areas when you try and build a baseball team. It cannot work, though, in my opinion, in every single scenario where you say every single scenario, I have to get some sort of great deal or some rebate or something that's half price, or I think I know something that someone else doesn't, and we're going to get 80% of the production of a player at half the price, because then I just think you become just kind of 80% of that team, right? You're always going to be 80% of coming up short, right? You're always going to be maybe scratching your head and saying, man, I wish we had more arms and more high-end talent in the rotation against the Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Division Series. And so I understand what's coming down the pipe in 2027. I do. But again, I just want to reiterate that they've put themselves in this position now where they have a really successful season with playoff wins on the ledger and a playoff round on their resume. And this is typically at the time when this isn't business as usual. We're changing things up and we're going to try and push it a little bit harder and get a bit closer. And I just feel like Dylan Cease was a guy that would have done that. Not to say that there aren't other players out there that can get you there, but this philosophy, I just don't feel like it can extend to every single part of your baseball team all the time.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to have a sweet box of perfectly trimmed fillets from Omaha Steaks?
Yes.
Or do you want to go to the grocery store and get the one that says discounted because it was yesterday, it expired yesterday, and you could take a gamble on it and you might get a decent steak every once in a while, but you might get food poisoning 3 out of 4 times too.
Tyler Chatwood?
Right?
No, yeah.
So I think I'm going to take the awesome steak from Omaha Steaks instead of the one on the shelf at the grocery store that says, this was full price yesterday, but today we got a deal on it because if you notice, yesterday was the expiration date and it's turning a little yellow today. Okay? So that's the way I feel about it. And so one of our top wish list guys on our Santa list, one of our top guys is gone. Helsley goes to the Orioles, another team in the AL East, and it's someone that you say, wow, if you put him next to Palencia and maybe Hodge or whoever, it starts to look like a real bullpen again. And they have to totally rebuild that bullpen. That deal, that contract, 2 years with an opt-out after 1. We know that the Cubs are operating on a budget that has restraints put on by themselves, but that seems like a deal that they actually would have been willing to do, no?
It seems like it. Shout out to Godfather in the chat, who's always consistently here, giving us empathy today. I feel bad for you guys having to talk about things that will never happen. Well, that's part of loving sports, and that's part about being a Cubs fan, because before 2016, I would talk about things that had never happened before, like winning the World Series. And lo and behold, they did happen. But appreciate you always in the chat. In regards to the Ryan Helsley, right? There's a couple things that obviously scared you a little bit, especially after the trade last year to the New York Mets. 6.26 ERA after the All-Star break. Allowed runs in 10 of his final 15 appearances. And people were getting after the fastball a little bit. People were like, 98, 99 mile an hour fastball. You know, it was a little bit flatter with not as much movement as they would like. Having said that, though, on a 2-year deal with an option for a third, at that point then, Luke, it isn't that long commitment. It isn't the albatross of years later still, well, we still have to account for this. It isn't the Jason Hayward excuse. Then it just becomes about money. $14 million, the Chicago Cubs should be able to afford. Am I surprised they didn't go after him like that at that number? I'm not, because to this point, I think the high end of that is probably closer. I mean, Presley and Hector Neris were $9 million players. They went to about $7 with Maton. I think that's right around their range. I think last year, maybe instructively or subconsciously now, you heard a lot of rumors that they were going after Tanner Scott, and they got pretty high up there on that number. And Tanner Scott was really, really bad for the Dodgers this year. We'll see what happens with him over the next couple of years. I promise you, as a reliever, he will have probably a dynamite season for LA, but they're on the hook for $18, $19, $20 million over the next 3 years with the reliever. $14 million to me doesn't feel like that much, and you could have fixed him in on it. Now, I see a lot of people that are freaking out that the Cubs weren't in on this. My focus is still on starting pitching, but again, this was a guy who I think probably, again, when we talk about maybe signing a guy to get you that 80% of that 100, I think Helsley could have gotten you the 80% of an Edwin Diaz production at a way cheaper price. So again, two really good arms off the market, and the Cubs have plenty of work to do. I'm more disappointed in Cease, though, than I am with Helsley, for sure.
I would agree with that. Helsley, are there some warts or concerns about the player? Yes, sure. But again, it's not a massive commitment. And in 22 to 23 to 24, the 3 years before that, his ERA was 1.83. It was under 2. So he was one of the best relievers / closers in all of baseball. So there is some certainty coming to your bullpen. Would he bring more certainty to your bullpen next year than almost anybody? I would say he would bring more than Presley did last year. I would say he would bring more than Hector Neris did the year before that. But are they willing to go to that number? Listen, the Cubs have shown us pretty consistently they don't want to pay for a big money closer. They'll pay for some guys. Kimbrel's the last time that they went out and said, that's the closer we want, right? And they went for it. And you say Tanner Scott and the Dodgers. The difference is exactly what you said earlier, Joey. The Blue Jays aren't worried about swinging and missing with Santander on a year, and the Dodgers won't be worried about swinging and missing on Scott for a year either, because they're big boys. But the Cubs should be in that conversation too. So that's the part. I still believe it was a place where the Cubs could have improved their team. Now, if you tell me that Helsley deal takes them out of a conversation or money for Schwarber, fine. If you want to say they have bigger fish to fry and they want to put those funds in that, but I'll believe it when I see it. I don't want to go shopping at the 80% discount. As much as I like cyber deals today and Black Friday deals, I don't want to go shopping for discounts with my major league team because it's billionaires paying the bill, not me.
Right. I mean, the only time that I like it is when it's $26 to sign up with our Diehard package right now, because that is the steal of the year. A couple minutes before we go to break, but I want to have you answer this, and maybe we'll take it to the other side of like the question that I now have is, one, would you rather have Ryan Helsley or Brad Keller? And two, if Helsley just got $14 million a year, what do you think Brad Keller's going to get? Because if you think it's somewhere close, guess who's probably not going to be on the Cubs next year? And it might be Brad Keller.
I think he's gone. Maybe it's a very small sample size, so teams will be like, maybe not, because Helsley's body of work is much bigger and much more successful.
More established, yes.
Like that's not even close. So if there's concern about a guy regressing, it's not as much Helsley as it is Keller. Yeah, I think he's gone anyway. I think they've already accepted the fact that he's probably gone. And by the way, Helsley was a guy that people talked about throwing around. Maybe that was just agent talk. He could be a starter. He could be a starter. He could be a starter. And now he's going to be a closer. Okay, so
yeah, right. I mean that.
Just like I don't think Keller's going to be a starter either. I don't think that's
drive the price up. You know he can do it. he's done it in the past. You can, you know what I mean? And that optionality maybe helps kind of sell what that final number looks like a little bit. But no, I mean, that's where Helsley is going to end up.
You know what else I think too is that it makes me question what the trickle down effect is, right? Cease is off the table, one of the best pitchers. And you look at one of the best relievers, Helsley, off the table. So now what do the teams in that division specifically start to do? Does that mean the Red Sox will overpay for Schwarber? Could happen. Remember, the Orioles also traded for Taylor Ward. And you look at these teams and you kind of look around and you say, well, all right, the Orioles, Taylor Ward and Helsley are what's next for them. Framber Valdez. The Blue Jays, why would they stop at just Cease? Are they Kyle Tucker next? Could be. Like if the Blue Jays, if their offseason is Cease and Tucker, and the Orioles is Ward and Helsley and Framber Valdez, well, what are the Yankees going to do? What are the Red Sox going to do? What are the Dodgers going to do? What are the Mets going to do? And where are the Cubs going to get left in the wake? Because that's the way it feels.
Yeah, and if you get something really cooking in just the one division like the AL East, then you're right. That's when the prices drive up and things can kind of get out of control. Let's take a quick break here on the CHGO Cubs podcast. On the other side of the break, we are going to talk about the 2026 streamer projections are out on Fangraphs. We'll talk about who's up and who's down. It's a couple names out there will surprise you, that's for sure. But let's take a break to hear from our wonderful partners and sponsors right here on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. Hey, athletes, I got a question for you. Are you serious about leveling up your game? Because the right coach can change absolutely everything. And right now, finding one is easy. With our friends at Eye on the Ball, the company created by CHGO Diehards, they've made a beautiful app that it doesn't matter if your kid is just starting out or competing at the top level. You can sign up totally free at eyeontheball.net. Right now, all you have to do is create your own profile, search through coaches in your sport, and they will connect you directly with one that is perfect for your young athletes. So it could be soccer, swimming, pickleball, polo, basketball, baseball, whatever it is, Eye on the Ball can get you the coaching that you need. So what are you waiting for? Your future coach can be one click away. Jump on today. Head to eyeontheball.net. That's right, eyeontheball.net, the company created by CHGO Diehards. They're going to help you find the right coach for you, athletes, because it's just one click away. Take your game to the next level with eyeontheball.net.
I always say, with a little tweaking from the right coach, I could have been the next Vidal Brujan. Hey, guys, get ready. CHGO Sports is teaming up with Loyola Basketball. Saturday, December 6th, that's this Saturday at 1:30 for the Loyola-Princeton game at the Gentile Arena in Rogers Park. Come out and see and support Loyola Basketball. Join in the Gentile holiday game. Perfect family event with Santa Claus appearing, holiday music, a halftime baby race, prizes, and more. Ramblers have won over 80% of their games in Gentile Arena since 2021. That's pretty good. And Miles Rubin is a Chicago native, Simeon product, one of the nation's best defenders in the paint, over 3 blocks a game, and just set Loyola's record for block shots in a career. So go to ramblertickets.com. Use the code CHGO when you get there for $5 off your ticket. Ticket prices start as low as $15, and then you get that $5 off the ticket with that code CHGO. You can't go wrong. Santa's going to be there. Joey's going to dress like a baby and race the kids.
I'm going to win.
Saturday.
Back here on the CHGO Cubs podcast, everybody, tell a neighbor, tell a stranger, why do I screw that up every time?
Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a total stranger, tell the total stranger's neighbor. Come on, Joey. I know it's Monday and there's a lot of tryptophan still running through your blood.
I need to go
By the way, right after this, I'm having another turkey sandwich.
Are you really? There's literally one probably like right off screen to your left or to your right.
No, I haven't made it yet, but it will have stuffing, and it will have cranberry sauce, and it will have turkey.
Oh man, that sounds delightful. We have nothing in the fridge. I came home from Pittsburgh with nothing.
I was going to say, I had one container of leftovers from my parents' place, and I ate that during the snowstorm, and now I have nothing.
We straight up look like we're in college again at my place. I have it's like mustard and like soy sauce packets and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like maybe one beer.
Here's your problem, guys. Once you hit a certain age, you start thinking about the future a little bit more. And that's why I already had my turkey breast brining before Thanksgiving. I went to the in-laws' house. We had a wonderful time with terrific turkey. The corn souffle was spectacular, and we got leftovers to bring home. But then on Saturday, I threw that bird in the oven. No, Friday. During the Bears game, I threw the bird in the oven, and afterwards, we feasted again.
That sounds exactly what the Chicago Bears did to the Eagles. They threw the bird in the oven, and they feasted again and again until they had 281 rushing yards.
Not afraid of a bird. Remember that.
Not afraid of a bird. Sarah, can you go up just slowly? Just a couple of one. Yeah, Justin Velasco, just towards our comment that we had, or our conversation that we had on the other side of the break. Top end guys are now getting C steals. Good pitchers are going for 15 to 20 AAV, 7 to 10 for relievers. And what I like about that comment is when he says good pitchers are going for 15 to 20. It's what the Chicago Cubs have. They have a lot of good pitchers. But as a Cubs fan, sometimes we want just a sprinkling of great. When you make the trade for Kyle Tucker in the offseason, that was a sprinkling of great. Look how far it got you. We'll see what happens with Cade Horton right this year, a guy who's now a young pitcher grown through the system, a controllable guy. Can he be great? Can PCA be great? That would be great for the Cubs. But sometimes maybe injecting it with something that you know is going to be great, sprinkled in with the rest of the good. Sometimes that's the way you got to attack your offseason, Luke. And there's teams like the Toronto Blue Jays, and I promise you the Philadelphia Phillies aren't done. The Dodgers will do something. Baltimore Orioles are getting involved. San Francisco Giants always try. I mean, that's what those teams are trying to do. I wish the Cubs were just in that mix a little bit more.
Friend of the show, John Morosi, says he believes Schwarber will sign before Tucker.
Okay.
And that neither will happen this week, more likely around the winter meetings or later. Well, the winter meetings are starting on Sunday, this coming Sunday. And so is that what we're looking at? Is that when we all hunker down around the computer and just hit refresh on the phone over and over to see where one of those guys? I don't know, but I hope the Cubs aren't afraid. I just hope they aren't afraid to play and fish in the deep end, right? Like go for it. Don't be afraid because of a potential work stoppage. Don't be afraid because some teams are spending crazy amounts of money. You're still the Cubs. You're not a mid-market team. You've got to be willing to go. Are there bad deals? Yes, there's always bad deals, but that's the price of being in this business, right? Like any big business makes mistakes. Hell, Cracker Barrel couldn't decide what sign to use. You don't think they're still making money? They're making money. They can't decide what sign to use. They made a mistake, okay? So what? So you make a mistake.
Right, and the Athletic today put out a really interesting article about the 10 worst current contracts in Major League Baseball. There was a guy who was number one on that list who's near and dear to our heart, but that's not the player I'm trying to reference. I think what you're talking about, they had I think it was 4 or 5 on there. They had Mike Trout on that list. Now, Mike Trout at the time of that signing was as surefire as it gets. And now, to be very fair, the guy still had an OBP at, I believe, 37% and hit 27 home runs last year.
Yeah.
The part that they said that made it a bad contract was, first of all, he signed, I think, a 12-year deal, which let's just put that as an important piece of this conversation because no one's getting a 12-year this offseason. Kyle Tucker's not getting a 12-year. Tatsuya Amai's not getting a 12-year. So put that aside. Even if you look at his deal, there's still some really good years in there. Injuries happen, and he still has an opportunity as a DH to still hit some bombs and put together some productive years. I can agree that I think 12 years is a little crazy, but we're not even having that conversation. We're talking about 5, 6, 7. And I always believe that if you're telling me out of that 5, 6, 7, you get 4 really, really good years out of it, I think that is a win for the contract. And trust me, that will be a win for Cubs fans. And as you said, we're still going to the games. And their prices are going up next year. And we're going to pay them happily. And the Cubs train, like the Cubs brand, isn't going anywhere. It is one of the more solid to its core, robust sporting brands you could have really in any sport. So when we talk about this type of money, I don't know. I just get kind of confused. Like I can understand being scared about a 7-year deal or something, but a 5 or 6 year deal for a guy like Kyle Schwarber, I just can't wrap my head around why that would be bad for the Cubs. And you're right. I hope that they are doing their work in secret. Like, I hope this is a John Lester situation where no one kind of really knew what was going on with that until the last minute, and then they signed a guy. That's a bit of the hope right now you have for the Cubs when talking about top-end guys right now.
Yeah, I hope Jed is lurking in the shadows. I mean, that's we can all hope as Cubs fans that he's just being real quiet like he is, and he's lurking in the shadows, and he'll get the deal done. You hope the Shota thing's not a hindrance. You hope the potential work stoppage isn't something that's going to hold him back. You hope that it's a lot of hoping and wishing. It's a lot of hoping and wishing, just like the roster is. And, if you take this to another business, right? Okay, so if you'd have told me 10 years ago, if you told me last year, hey, I'm signing the Rolling Stones to this 3-record deal. No, they're not going to be any good. But if you would have signed them 15 years ago, you're still getting your money back because you're still getting all those concerts, right? Like, is Bruce Springsteen the guy he was 15 years ago? No, he was average then and he's average now, but that's another story. Sorry, Corey. Bon Jovi, on the other hand, is still cranking out the hit. That's another. That was a shot.
Upper register. My only other add-on to this too is, like, I was reading this article again today too. It's on ESPN, and the great Jesse Rogers contributed to it. They were talking about the labor stoppage in 2027. Like, what is it going to look like? Like, we're all talking about the big one, right? We're like the MLB owners labor committee or whatever it's called with Jerry Reinsdorf on it. They want, and Hal Steinbrenner on the Yankees. They want a salary cap in baseball. One of the consolations and one of the other things that I think they were willing to give in order to make this happen was they're going to try and have a salary cap and try and raise the floor. But they're also going to try and figure out ways to pay younger players earlier in their career. So this is like, it's a little two sides of the mouth to me, speaking out of both ends there. Where, like, if you pay younger players big time money at a young age, we see that crap out all the time.
All the time.
Sometimes when you sign a guy who's 27, 28, 29 years old, like a Dylan Cease, who's made 32 straight starts for I don't know how many years, who struck out 200 guys for I don't know how many years, like, that is something that is set in stone, right? That is a foundation. That is a consistency. That is what he brings to the table, and the guarantee almost that he's going to give it to you year in and year out. When you give a huge contract out to a 23-year-old player, you don't always know where that's going to go or where that's going to land and all the different ways that could sidewind. So I'm just getting kind of confused with this. I get it. You don't want to pay a guy when he's 36 years old. I understand that. But giving a guy who's 22 years old a ton of money when he hasn't proven much, I can make a compelling argument that is just as risky.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be about risk. Like, there's always risk in players. It's about getting the teams to all take a similar risk. To me, the floor is a bigger problem than the salary cap. Like, you need the other team. You need Jerry to spend money. You need the Pirates to spend money. They shouldn't be thinking about trading Paul Skeens. The Tigers shouldn't even be entertaining Skubal being traded. If you really want to say there's a problem in baseball, but if you want to just talk about paying young players early on, well, how did that work for Moncada? How did that work for Eloy? How did that, go on and on? How did that work out? It doesn't always work out. It's not always that Kyle Hendricks gives you a deal early on and you're like, wow, that worked out pretty good for his prime.
Yeah,
it may not work out for PCA.
Yeah, not every player is going to give you the team-friendly deal. And as much as players, and every player talks about, and Dan Plesac on our show talks about how much players love playing at Wrigley Field. I don't doubt it, but it's still a business at the end of the day. And if you're going to be a business in a front office that's intending on making money every year, the player is also going to be in kind, trying to also make and extract as many dollars as he can in the 8 to 10 year window, if he's lucky that he gets an opportunity to play what we all call a kid's game, right? That we all root for and we all bleed for and we love so much. Speaking of risk and talking about projections, I do want to get your thought a little bit on the 2026 streamer projections that came out from Fangraphs. Now, to be very fair, these aren't the official Zips projections. Baseball Reference has their own version of projections. Some of them are a little bit more kind. And for those that really aren't familiar, streamer projections The easiest way to kind of explain it, and it isn't an easy way to explain it, is that they try and take a lot of different variables in Major League Baseball. They take in weighted outcomes, and then they try and average it to a general regression that's close to league average to try and project and predict what a player is going to do the following season. And they are available right now for the Chicago Cubs. And if you look up and down the lineup, Luke, there are a lot of players, at least in the counting stats category and in WAR and in WRC+, a lot of players in the Cubs are projected to regress next year. So I'll open this up to you. If there's a player out there that jumped out to you, what you think of this list in general, like where do you want to go with this? Like, because it's almost everybody. No one is spared, Luke. Everyone is. They're saying that the Cubs might take a small step back. And I have a pushback on a couple of this stuff, but I want to get your thoughts.
They have only Nico and PCA above a 3 WAR on the whole team.
And to be very quick, I just ran it really fast. Last year on the Cubs, they had 10 players with a WAR over 2. They had 6 players, and this is pitchers included, 6 players with a WAR over 3. And they had 3 players with a WAR over 4 last year. They're projecting next year only 10 will get over 3. Or no, excuse me, only 8 will get over 2.
Yeah.
And Horton's not on that list.
No, I mean, my first thing, again, the old in me looks at the robot and says, now, wait a minute, is this called streamer projections or steamer projections? I don't know which one it is, like, because they stink a little bit. Last year, PCA was projected to do nothing. Now, but this is what our front office is looking at. They want everybody to exceed projections. Joey, do you think the Cubs mostly exceeded their projections last year? Yes. I would say, like, as much as any team in baseball, they exceeded projections from computers. Like
first half offensively, at least.
Greatly exceeded.
Right.
Their catchers greatly exceeded. PCA greatly exceeded. Like, some guys just kind of had that natural, but so that part of it, I can see where that's why we've had this conversation. I keep saying you can't take Tucker's first half and ignore it and remove it from the whole Cubs team last year and go into the lineup next year and say, well, we're going to get PCA for a whole year of perfect, and we're going to get Michael Busch, the guy that was there in the postseason, and we're going to get Cade Horton's going to be a Seiya. Those are all still going to be exceeding projections. There is a reason to look at this Cubs team and say, you need to add, and you need to add at a lot of different places just to get back to where you were last year, because there is no guarantee that everybody is going to just keep on tacking on to what they did last year. Like, who is going to be your Brad Keller? Like, nobody saw Brad Keller coming. Nobody saw Drew Pomeranz coming. And bonus, bravo to the front office for getting everybody to do that. But it's pretty easy to look at this and say, I could see even a little regression on a lot of these guys. Basically, the only guy in the whole team that this projection, this computer robot, whatever you want to call it, looks at the Cubs and says, that guy will be better than he was last year, is Matt Shaw. And it's such a tiny improvement that it makes you say, man, they need to go get Bregman. Right? Like, that's the truth. He's the only one that really is going up in WAR and all these different statistics. And it's like, if that's the case, then they better make some real improvements. Like, if this, don't get me wrong, this system, this computer system or projection is wrong, but it's smarter than the average dummy. And I consider myself the average dummy. So when I say I think they need to add, I think they need to add. And I just hope the Cubs believe that too.
Right. And again, 92-win season, resting on your laurels should not be in their vocabulary this offseason. Oh, we're good. Let's just run it back the way it is and just think that we're either going to get the equal amount of production or the first half offense that we saw last year, or we're actually think we're going to improve across the board. I think that's where you get yourself in trouble. When you're talking about Matt Shaw, right, they have a slash line projected for him at 242, 321 on base, definitely an improvement, 412 slugging, WRC plus of 107, 2.2 WAR, 15 home runs, 53 RBIs, 57 runs scored. Definitely an improvement upon what happened last year. But to your point earlier, they have now a lot of Cubs fans out there. We don't need Kyle Tucker. I want Mo Baller out there, and I want Owen Casey out there.
What's Mo Baller projected to do?
Play those young kids. So let's start with Casey really first. Casey, 237 slash line, 315 on base, 405 slug, WRC plus of 103, about league average, 0.5 WAR, 9 home runs, 30 RBIs in projected 66 games. They are a little bit more kind to Mo Baller, and I am intrigued by this, that they have him at 266, 330 on base for Mo Baller, 408 slug, so obviously not a slug, but the dude's on base. WRC plus of 107, 0.6 WAR, 9 home runs, 40 RBIs, 38 run scores in only 82 games. So even if you projected that out over the course of a full season, they're thinking 15 to 18 home runs, maybe 70 RBIs. If you combine those, though, Luke, it's only 18 home runs, 70 RBIs in 140-ish games, replacing Kyle Tucker. And the part that I hate even more is that the 315 on base and the 330 on base, that's about a 32%. Kyle Tucker is about a 38, 39% player on base percentage. The slugging obviously isn't going to get you there either. So this ain't great. And Michael Thiel's asking a good question. How historically accurate is the projection from them, though? Look, we did this last year where they were way off on Matthew Boyd. They were dead on with Dansby Swanson. They've been dead on with Ian Happ. This isn't like write it and set it in stone. No. But when you have these conversations about trying to improve your team, these can be instructive tools about where you are and where you think you're going, or what you can. When we talk about expectations and projections, this can be a conversation that you can have about where this is all kind of heading and where your team stands right now and how you need to improve it.
What was the biggest thing we wanted last offseason and the years prior? It was a superstar, but the other thing I was begging for was power. It's why I talk about Schwarber all the time. Like, they've got to have some power in that lineup. Now, you got 30 home run guys this year. This projection is looking at such a regression in the Cubs that it's saying you won't have a single player hit 25 home runs on the Cubs next year. Not one. And they're saying only 4 of them will hit in the 20s. Seiya and Busch at 24, Happ at 21, and PCA at 20. Let me tell you something. If that is even remotely accurate, the Cubs are going nowhere. If you have 4 guys that hit like 20 home runs and nobody's really getting to 30, nobody gets to 25, I don't care how good the pitching could possibly be. That won't be enough offense. And you know what? The bat will be way too expensive at the trade deadline. That's why I still say frontline starter's important, but that bat like Schwarber or somebody to replace first half Kyle Tucker. The Cubs were only really a great team in the first half, which is when Tucker was really, really good. That's the guy you have to replace. You don't have to replace Kyle Tucker in the postseason. You've got to replace Kyle Tucker, the first half superstar.
There are 2 on here that I just objectively disagree with.
Okay, who?
The first one is Michael Busch.
Okay.
Projected slash line for 2026, 248, 333 on base, 463 slug, WRC plus of 122. He finished last year at 141. A WAR of only 2.1, 24 home runs, 65 RBIs, and 74 runs scored. So you're trying to, and look, and you look it up, right? After the season that he just had, this thing is projecting him to have the exact same RBIs that he hit in 2024, his first year up. This is he hit 21 home runs that year, so only 24 home runs, and then that average coming all the way down. The numbers are almost identical slash line-wise to what he put up in 2024. We watch this stuff every day. I think Michael Busch, I don't know how high his ceiling is, and I don't know if it's necessarily going to be 34 home runs and 90 RBIs like he did last year. I just think he's an ascending, improving player. I don't see a scenario here where Michael Busch takes a step back next year. I just don't buy it. The other one that I don't like at all, Cade Horton. We love Cade Horton here on the show. We love him here in Chicago. Projected 8-9 record, 143 innings pitched, 4.33 ERA, 4.40 FIP, 7.88 K per 9 rate, which is just a slight tick up from what he had last year. I just don't agree with those. Maybe they just make me upset and I'm not willing to buy it, but Luke, those just seem insane to me.
I would agree that if you look at all the projections that I went through, just like you did, those are the two that really kind of you say, well, I listen, I don't know. Is this computer based in Missouri or Milwaukee? Where are they programming this thing? Is it Missouri or is it somewhere near like Waukesha? Like
Right.
it's very possible.
And the other one, just really quick, is that they only project Michael Busch to play 119 games. They only project PCA to play 119 games. So
Yeah.
I don't know how they're accounting for health in these projections, but clearly those are numbers that are wildly down and suppressed from what they played last year. Like, if Michael Busch is healthy, he's playing 130, 140 games. If PCA is healthy, he's playing 145, 150 games, not 119. So
No. Well, they like Matthew Boyd was supposed to pitch 40 innings, and we said, well, was that a reliever last year? But it's the overall arcing theme of what the projections are saying that concerns me, not the individual numbers, because I'm enough of a realist where I can go through each guy and say, do I think Dansby's going to hit as many home runs? Well, he's getting older. Could I see him regressing slightly? Yes. Could I see Michael Busch not being the guy that he was in the postseason and being more the guy that the manager's still afraid to have face guys from the right and left side? Could I look at PCA and say, it still would be a regression if we get a guy that's in the middle and not a guy that had MVP type numbers in the first half and then kind of bombed in the second half? Could I see Seiya taking a slight regression without Tucker in the lineup? Could I see Nico just had his best season ever. Could I see him having a slight regression? The word you keep saying is regression and not exceeding projection. That's what's concerning. And I don't disagree that there is a realistic possibility that some, maybe several of those players do have that theme, right? Like, I hope they don't, but it's not crazy to think. What's crazier if the computer came out and said all of these guys are going to exceed what they did in 2025, or for the computer to come out and say, I bet you 85% of these guys just go slightly below what they did last year? That's frankly, it's way more likely, isn't it?
do you want to take a guess on all pitchers that they have pitching at least 40 innings next year? Do you want to take a guess who they have leading the team in ERA?
Shota.
Ben Brown.
Oh, come on. See?
They think Ben Brown, with a 3.34 ERA, with a minimum of 40 innings pitched, is going to lead the team in ERA with a 10.35 K9 rate. They like Ben Brown a lot. Right behind him, with 60 innings pitched next year, Luke Little, 3.63. So this exercise is fun, but again, this isn't something that's like going into concrete here. They like Justin Steele coming back a lot. They have him projected to make 13 starts, 5-5 record, 83 innings pitched. So again, 83 innings pitched in their projections. For people that think that he's coming back in May, he's not. 83 innings pitched is probably like, I'll see you around July. But 3.63 ERA, 3.73 FIP, 8.54 K9 rate. That's a good bounce back. That's pretty close to Justin Steele type numbers. They do see a bit of a bounce back with an Imanaga in terms of a K9 rate going up. Bad year for Jameson Taillon, 4.54 ERA projected. So, I mean, this is stuff that, I mean, the Cubs, you can make the argument, did the Cubs have a bit of a charmed season in certain aspects last year? Yeah, you could make that argument with some of the vets, the Carson Kellys of the world, maybe even a Jameson Taillon with how sturdy and solid he was, never really hit a valley or too many speed bumps. But at the same time, you know, there's not anyone on this list that just makes you go, wow, everything's going to be fine. So when we're banging our table and everyone goes, oh, you guys are crazy for saying you want, like, get it out of your head. They're never going to sign Schwarber or Tucker or Cease or whatever it is. It's like, we're not going to get it out of our head. We have to keep pounding the table and asking for it. Because if you just lay down and keep your mouth shut about it, then they'll just do whatever they want, man. Like, so.
Let me put an optimistic spin on this. Listen, the Cubs front office is full of smart guys.
Yes.
Really smart guys. They're looking at all the computer projections too. They have their own computer. They look at all of these. They put them all together.
It's just one computer that they're all looking at.
They're looking at a Commodore, but that's a different story because that's all they can afford. So they're looking at these same projections, and you hope that they're going into the winter meeting saying, we've got to add, right? You hope they're looking at this and saying, well, maybe this computer's right and maybe that computer's right. I'd rather have them going into it being a little pessimistic than I would have them going into it thinking, we're all good. Like I'd rather have that. Frankly, it's just too early for this, for fans, or for that to give you a realistic view of what I would believe the projections more if the postseason was over. If I knew whether or not they were going to sign another starter, if I knew they were going to have another bat that would we talked about it all last year when PCA was hot and when Tucker were hot, look how much better Seiya was. And vice versa. It trickled down. So one guy can impact a lot of things. So we don't know what the finished product is yet. If you're looking at the way it is right now, I can see the Cubs regressing next year. Is that possible? Yeah, if they don't do anything and they let the Orioles and the Blue Jays and the Yankees and the Mets sign everybody, sure.
Yeah, as it sits here right now, I mean, and there's a lot of work to do, so I'm not going to flip out yet. But, Phil Maton, it's got to do more than that. You have to insulate the likelihood of your outcome, and I just believe that you do it with high-end talent, with what is already a really solid to its core baseball team with a lot of good players. I just think they need a little bit more of that sprinkling of great. Luke, we got to get out of here, man. Take us home. You and Justin tomorrow, and I'll see you on Wednesday, man. Great show.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Remember, our good, better, best of the day, I want to get in real fast. The best bird I've ever eaten is duck. Peking duck is always good. Then chicken. I like the wings. I like the nuggets. I like the sandwiches. I like the nachos. Turkey, boom, love it. That's good, better, and best. And the never let it rest, always let a pigeon rest. You never want to try it. Never, ever, ever. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by our friends at Toyota. Justin Roman will be in tomorrow. We'll talk about it. Hopefully something positive from the Cubs. Maybe we'll find a computer that likes them. Until then, thanks for watching and fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.